Hello Tubesters, and welcome to the first instalment on the vlog on building the Meng full interior FT17 French light tank from the Great War. It's been a while since I unboxed it, and I have been working along, obviously, well I wouldn't be showing you now, in the background on it. The problem I've got is, well, it's not a problem, it's just that obviously you've got multiple tiny pieces, and you know, you have to prime them mostly and get them obviously fitted together, and there just wasn't, there's a lot of work but not a lot really to show you. And even now I look at it and I think I'm really bothering doing this video because there's not a lot I can show you. As usual, it's been problematical. I just don't think me and full interior kits seem to gel. Maybe I just, as I say, being, you know, as I say, I've built models as a kid, but obviously as a 50-odd-year-old bloke, it's more or less all new again. And I've had a right problem with the engine. Not so much in, it's a bit like the T55 build that you've seen on my channel. Getting the pieces together is fine, and it's as we all know, I've got mental health problems, and building the kits is fantastic for me. It helps me head, and you know, I'm filing away, cutting, sticking, and that's fine. And I just knew that I was gonna, you know, you can start seeing the kit progressing, and you think this is in no way going to come together as a finished engine when I come to mount it, and because you've only just got to be that slightly bit off on something, and because they're asking you to more or less follow a trail of breadcrumbs before you actually get to the, you know, getting it in place in situ, so much goes askew on the way there. I just knew it wasn't going to fit, and it hasn't really. It's slopping around more or less loose in there. I've even had to try and put where the transmission covers are. I've even had to put some, or gearbox covers, whatever. I've had to put some super glue even just to try and hold it there while I'm messing around with it. I'll go into greater detail when we can actually, you know, point things out. But I find with these kits, I do them to feel better with my mental health, and a lot of the times like this, they end up dragging me down because you can't seem to work your way out of it. You know what I mean? No matter how hard you do something and you think you're doing something nice, it just turns into a pile of crud at the end of it, and you're just going, I'm so glad I've done all that. So yeah, it's a tiny little tank, because let's face it, it's a Great War tank, and it's, although us Brits were making the larger versions, you know, the male and female versions, and the Whippet and things like that, these were the first, as I believe, turreted tanks, and so, you know, it is, you know, it's the first tank with a turret, and so it's a two-man tank. It's really tiny. You know, you think not a lot can go wrong, and it probably wouldn't if you're doing just the standard kit. But I thought, no, I'm not taking the engine out. I'm not. This, the whole idea of building this was, you know, you can have the hatches open and you can display them. You know, I've got the figures and things. I've done no weathering on it yet. I was going to start weathering it with some oils and things, because I've just done basic painting on it. I've done no highlights or anything. I'm just letting the oils do their job. But I haven't done any of that yet, simply because it was starting to look all rickety. I haven't got any sides on it yet, and I just thought, no, when I know these sides fit, then we'll, you know, and once I've got the sides on, or more or less the tub really, the lower tub, once the sides are done and the front bits, then I'm going to try and get the engine secured as best as I can, and then we'll go on to weathering. You know, I've done more priming on it today because I'd done the outside and then stuck a load of bits, done the two outside pieces, and then over the last couple of days I've been sticking some ancillary bits on the outside. So I've ended up having to re-primer obviously over that, which, you know, I've got a problem with. I re-primed that and ended up getting a load of overspray on the white on the inside. The Valleos, I just can't get Valleos. It's weird, I can get the MIG watercolour based ones spraying fine, but the Valleos, not all of them, but the white particularly, I have a right, I mean, white tends to be quite, to me anyway, when I'm brush painting, can be quite chunky particles in it anyway, and spraying white Vallejo through the airbrush is a nightmare. It never seems to go on well for me. But anyway, waffling as usual. Wouldn't be one of Gav's videos if I didn't. So yeah, let's get down to the bench. This one is going through to the end. I am not losing, well, it wasn't so much with the T55 losing my rag, or it was just I'd come to where everything just wasn't fitting because I fitted it wrong originally. So this one will get built. I'm beavering away on it. It's just, as I say, it can be disheartening, especially some of my problems. You can be deflated, you know, quite quickly sometimes. Yeah, I was a bit disheartened, but we'll see once the sides go on. Either tonight or tomorrow night I'll be putting the sides on and stuff, and we'll see how she looks then. But join me at the bench. I'll moan yet again and talk about everything I've just talked about, but with a kit in front of me. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. As we can see, it is a tiny tank. Let's see if we can pick her up without everything falling off. Even one of the steering levers is a bit loose. I'm going to have to re-glue it. We'll go, obviously, driver's compartment. This one's bloody loose, so that one's going to have to get glued. These are alright. As I say, I was going to do a highlight and that on the different leather work there, but I thought, no, I've got lots of different oils, I might as well use those. This bulkhead here, firewall, whatever you want to call it, is loose fitting. Now I dry fitted it without paint on and all the rest, but come to put it in dry again, and it's really getting pushed around by that engine, so I've left it loose for the moment because I'm terrified of going down the T55 route where I'd glued everything in place, everything was out of sync, and when I came to put the major components on, you know, the sides and things, nothing would fit, including the engine on that one. This is how it's supposed to be. I was in these gearboxes at the side. As I say, nothing's been glued. I've got a couple of pieces that I've glued on as an afterthought, and I'm just going to have to brush paint without any primer on. I'm a bit terrified to tip it around in case the whole thing falls out. But as you can, well, it's not going to be easy to see there, but you can see from the radiator and that, see how it's all loose. I don't want to go ripping it one side or the other to show you, because it'll just all fall apart. Because again, it's another kit that relies on tiny little, like this is supposed to get, this hose is supposed to go into the direct into that, and there was no way I could get it to fit that radiator in a million years, not without breaking something. Yeah, it's you know, you can see the cradle down here. As I say though, I'll play around with it when I get to put the sides on. I don't want to glue anything else on. I've got to paint these two bits that are unpainted yet, and then I'll have a go at putting the sides on. But you can see that how she's sitting now. That was, I mean, as you can see, it's not being pushed in, but I'm terrified to push too much on things because you end up breaking everything else around it. But I will try and get that back in a bit, or tomorrow or tonight. But yeah, that's our engine. It'll come up better with some oils on and stuff. It won't look so stark, hopefully. And obviously the base here is going to have some, the green base is going to have some washes on. But the leather work here on this leather support, you know, obviously they'll all be weathered up, providing I can get everything to stick. So that's our engine, but that's been, obviously each of these tiny components obviously has to be cleaned up. There's the odd awkward little, because they're trying to keep the, and I can see why they're doing it, they're trying to keep the sprues tabs off the actual outside of components and things like that, but sometimes they're actually on the place where you want to glue them down, and that can be a tiny bit problematical. But you know, this has been, oh, I've no idea really, but you know, a good few nights over the last couple of weeks, you know, since whenever I put that FT unboxing up in the first place, I've been working on this, doing an hour or so a night. I've just resprayed this, and you can see pot marks everywhere and whatever, but that's the inside, this is the outside. This springs, my wife actually put these springs on for me. I was having a right hissy fit trying to get those on. It was an absolute nightmare. These are metal. these are metal bar, and the spring has to be wound round more or less, and I just couldn't get it. It was one of those nights I just put it away because I thought, no, this is doing me no good whatsoever. And the wife volunteered to have a go. I think it's the only bit of model making that she wants to get into, though. I couldn't encourage her to do any more. But yeah, I decided to paint these in situ. And we'll have some ammo racks going on these on the inside. There's a couple of higher points there, you have to cut those off depending. Don't have to worry, so I'm told, about the sink marks because they're going to be covered over with bits and pieces. And there's things like that. The thought they've got into is really good. I just think with all these engines, I'm just not clever enough. You know, I think with engines, I like to have like 4 pegs going into, you know, 4 holes, then 2 pegs going, you know. But I know that you won't get the detail of the engine then because they have to do it obviously to get the different parts to look what they would do on a real engine. I understand that, but it's just, you know, what one bit here leads to, and if it's just the slightest bit out, it just throws the entire build out, which it did with a 55 T55. This little guy, I mean, lots of sub-assemblies for such a small tank. This box here, you make up the complete sides to it, which again is all good for me. It's this frontage here is stuck on. This little bit here is stuck on, although I'm not 100% sure if it's in the right place. And this back piece here, this little brace here, gets stuck on as well. So yeah, we've got the fun of putting the. Let's just open my little tub here. These are what I've been spraying up. We've got this to be like fuel tank. These little pieces here, which I don't really want to get out, but let's just do an attempt. These are all not sure if they're 30mm. I think they're 30mm cannon shells. That's going up into this square bit down at the bottom of the tub there. That's an ammo tray that all these guys have got to fit in, and these ones with the holes. So it's as I say, it's what you want. It's an involved kit even for a little tank. So guys, thank you very much. This is a not so brief update. I'll show you again when if I've managed to get the sides to fit, which I didn't on my last tank. So let's see that this one goes a bit better. But I'll be fitting the sides and doing some weathering and stuff, and trying to get that engine looking straight, as straightish as I can, and gluing it in place and giving all that a weathering as well. So thanks for stopping by and taking a look. As I say, I've got some hours coming up on this in the next week or so, so we'll see what more progress we can make. Take care of yourselves, guys. I hope you're doing fine in these slightly desperate times, and we'll catch each other very, very soon on another video. Cheers.